We're going to discuss 4 articles today as part of our daily news analysis. And out of those 4, 3 are very controversial. One is related to Collegium, another related to National Anthem. The other one is related to caste-based census. All 3 are discussed again and again. So we'll discuss all these 4 articles. Okay. Now, before we start, just a motivation for all of you. Be stronger than your excuses. Usually what we do when we are not in a position to do something, when we are not in a position to face the challenge, we start giving excuses. When we have given ourselves a target that I'll study this much today, and we do not do it because we lack the discipline, then we start giving excuses. This is not the way to success. The way is to become stronger. When you become stronger, when you are disciplined, when you make yourself conscious of all those efforts that are required and you face the challenges, then you emerge as a stronger personality and you succeed in life. So be stronger and don't give excuses. Now, as part of our online courses at Narayana IAS Academy, we have admissions open for 1 year as well as 2 year courses. These are prelims cum mains courses. For those who want to attempt the exam in the year 2026, they can look for this first 1 year course and the second, that is 2 year course for 2027 batch. Now these courses are made in such a way that all your GS general studies and CSAT preparation will be done within almost 800 hours. Few more lectures may be there, but 800 hours. And for the current affairs part, we have allocated 200 hours. Your entire syllabus has been arranged and has been categorized to ensure that entire syllabus and all its dimensions are covered. So we have made a strategic micro schedule for covering entire syllabus. Then all the faculties will be taking care of this syllabus, and later on regular testing will also take place. So you'll be giving so many tests, around 4,000 prelims practice questions and 1,000 plus mains practice questions will be solved by you, will be evaluated by the faculties. Now, as part of this course, you will be provided with 12 Navigator NCERT books and 21 GS Navigator books, which are relevant for your pre as well as mains. Some other digital resources, for example, model answers for your questions, all that will be provided. And also, monthly Navigator magazine, which will cover each and every important current affairs issue in a comprehensive manner. That magazine will also be provided to you. So you can go ahead and take the admission. Okay. Now let's move ahead with our daily news analysis. So we have picked up these 4 articles. First, related to Collegium System, which is relevant for your exam as well as which is very important in the context of Indian judiciary. Second article is related to caste census. Now we are hearing about caste census since many years. So this becomes highly important. Then next is National Anthem controversy. See, we all know about National Anthem. In schools, we also go ahead with National Anthem almost every single day. In the cinema halls also, National Anthem is played. But there is some controversy regarding it. And the last article is related to Indus Valley Civilization and the script that was there at the time of Indus Valley Civilization. We are saying we are still not in a position to decipher and understand the script of Indus Valley Civilization. So all these 4 articles now we are going to discuss in detail. Okay. So let's start with the first article related to Collegium System. Now this is important for prelims as well as mains. The more importance can be given with respect to mains GS paper 2, where you are going to study structure, organization and functioning of executive and judiciary. So Collegium System being part of judiciary, you must know. Now there is one previous year question asked in the year 2017. Critically examine the Supreme Court's judgment on National Judicial Appointments Commission Act 2014. Now because we had a collegium system, to replace that system, this act was brought in by Modi government. With reference to appointment of judges of higher judiciary in India, 150 words. So they directly asked question on this particular act. So similar question can be directly asked related to collegium system in India. Okay, I hope you understand the importance of this topic. Now, first thing, why are we discussing about collegium system? It is already there. But right now we are discussing because right now we are observing that Supreme Court is trying to reform the judiciary in India. So they want to come up with some reforms, they want to make some changes which are good. So for example, they said that right now they are going to conduct interviews for high court judges. So they are going to appoint high court judges. For that they are going to conduct some interviews. Then they are saying that if there is someone who is a close relative of a judge, in that case that nominee, that person is, or that person will be excluded, because many a times we get a news that the relatives of judges are appointed as judges in the judiciary. So kind of nepotism that goes on in Indian judiciary. So this is somewhat a kind of reform that Supreme Court is trying to bring in. So now when such reforms are being carried out, we are talking about the larger reform that is required in the collegium system itself. So first of all, we want to know what is collegium system. But before that, what does our constitution say with respect to appointment and transfer of judges in India? So we have Supreme Court judges, we have High Court judges, and if we see the constitutional articles, Article 124, Clause 2, it talks about Supreme Court judges. Now this includes your Chief Justice of India as well as other judges of Supreme Court. The article says that these judges will be appointed by President. So President is the final authority who is going to appoint them after consultation with the Chief Justice of India. So this is specifically talking about all other judges of Supreme Court except Chief Justice of India. That if you want to appoint anyone, you will have to ask Chief Justice of India. Now you may say, what about the Chief Justice of India himself? So in that case, we have a procedure that we follow, that when a Chief Justice of India, his tenure is going to get completed, he will he will provide the recommendation of the next successor or next Chief Justice of India to the ministries, and that name will later on become as the Chief Justice of India. Now this is a convention, it is not written in the constitution, this is just a convention that is supposed to be followed. Now this is regarding Supreme Court judges. Then Article 217 Clause 1, this is related to High Court judges. Again the same thing, appointment will be done by President of India after consultation with Chief Justice of India. So he'll come first, the Chief Justice of India will be consulted, then Governor of that state will also be consulted, and then Chief Justice of that respective High Court will also be consulted. After that, the judge for a High Court will be appointed. By whom? By President. Then the next article, Article 222 Clause 1. Now this says that if you want to transfer any judge from High Court, one High Court to another High Court, that will also be done by President of India, and again after consulting Chief Justice of India. Now you may say, sir, who is going to, what about the article related to transfer of judges of Supreme Court? Well, we don't transfer judges of Supreme Court because we have only one Supreme Court. Okay, now this is about the constitutional articles we have. Now I want to talk about specifically about the collegium system in India. Now what is collegium? You can say collegium is a group of juries, group of judges. So instead of one single judge, we are talking about, let's say, 5 judges, which includes Chief Justice of India as well as 4 more judges. So it is a collegium. And whenever you want to appoint any judge or transfer any judge, it is not Chief Justice of India who is going to give recommendation to the President, but a group of all these judges, which includes Chief Justice of India as well as 4 more judges. They all will give a recommendation to the ministry and later on to the President. So we call this group as collegium. And why such group is made? So that the decision of appointment, decision of transferring any judge is not a judgment of one person, that is CJI, but the judgment of the entire institution of judiciary. So these 5 members will represent the entire judiciary. Okay. So this is the collegium system. Now there is no mention of such collegium system in the Constitution of India. So this is something we can say a new invention in our judicial system. Okay. So right now, any appointment or transfer of judges in Supreme Court and High Court, when it has to be done, the recommendation is given by collegium, and that collegium is not mentioned in the Constitution. Now, then the question is, if it is not mentioned in Constitution, how are we even talking about it? So we need to know the genesis, origin or evolution of this system called collegium system. Now, what happened? See, in the year 1981, we had this first case called SP Gupta versus Union of India. We call this case as first judges case. Year is 1981. Now, I want all of you to see this Article 124 clause 2 once again. It says, Supreme Court judges are appointed by President after consultation. Now, this term is very important. After consultation with Chief Justice of India and other judges deemed necessary. So now the question is, when President is consulting Chief Justice of India or any other judges, if any name is suggested by Chief Justice of India to the President, is it binding on President to just appoint that person, or it is completely on the President to decide? He may take up that name, he may reject that name and take some other person too. So what is the meaning of consultation? Is it a binding decision or is it not a binding kind of a thing? So in this first judge's case, that is SP Gupta case, what Supreme Court said is that the term consultation does not mean concurrence. It does not mean concurrence. That means even if Chief Justice of India is giving any recommendation, now it is completely up to the President to decide. So it clearly mentioned that there will be executive primacy over the judiciary. So executive, that is President, is now going to decide. So the recommendation is not binding. So this was the interpretation of the term concurrence given in the first judge's case. But interestingly, after 12 years, that is in the year 1993, there's another case. So you can remember the name of the case, Supreme Court Advocates on Record Association versus Union of India. Or in short, we call it second judge's case. In this case, Supreme Court changed its decision. It said the meaning of consultation is exactly equal to concurrence. That means when Chief Justice of India is giving any advice regarding appointment of a person as a judge of Supreme Court or High Court, let's say, then that recommendation is completely binding on the President of India. They have to take that name. So somewhat they are saying consultation means concurrence. So now the power got shifted from executive to the judiciary. Now it's only the judiciary who is deciding who will be appointed as a judge, right? But interestingly, in this case, the court clarified that it's not the consultation only from Chief Justice of India as one person alone. Rather, Chief Justice of India plus 2 other senior judges will be part of it. So here we say that this is the case. The second judge's case is the first case in which we see the formation of collegium system. Although the collegium is small, one Chief Justice of India and 2 other judges, they are part of it. Now, this was the second case. After that, in the year 1998, we see third judge's case. Now, in this case, what happened is Supreme Court further clarified that this collegium system will include Chief Justice of India plus 4 other judges. So they have expanded the size of collegium. So now we have total 5 members as part of collegium. And in case, let's say out of these 5 judges, even if only two judges are there who are saying that you should not recommend this person's name. They are rejecting a particular name. Then that person's name will not be recommended by the entire collegium. So this kind of a system was established to give institutional opinion or institutional recommendation regarding the appointment and transfer of judges. Clear? So now you see complete formation of a very large collegium system. Clear? Now the story does not end in 1998. In the year 2014, Modi government brought a reform. They brought a constitutional amendment as well as an act. The constitutional amendment was 99th Amendment and an act was National Judicial Appointments Commission Act 2014. Now the plan was to reform the system in such a way that only judiciary should not play complete role in the appointment and transfer of judges, because in the entire world when we look at other countries too, we feel that it is somewhere important for the institutions to ensure that the appointment and transfer of judges should not completely be there with the judiciary only. So government wanted that there should be some role of executive also to ensure some check and balance, to ensure the accountability, to ensure that there is no nepotism or corruption. So they brought this amendment, but after that, in the year 2015, we see the next case, that is fourth judge's case, or we call it as NJAC case also. In this case, what Supreme Court did, they said this is completely unconstitutional. This 99th constitutional amendment is unconstitutional. So what happens right now is, from now onwards, the collegium system which was established, that will continue to work as it is. This new system which government tried to bring, that will not work. Only collegium system will continue for appointment and transfer. Clear? So this was the history part of this collegium system. Now just to give you a clarity on this particular part, when we are appointing Chief Justice of India, Chief Justice of India, at that point of time, there is a seniority principle. Whoever will be senior, he will be made Chief Justice of India. So I am a Chief Justice of India. When I'll be leaving, I will recommend the senior most judge of the Supreme Court as the next CJI, and he will become the CJI. Now this is a convention. It is not mentioned in the Constitution, and this convention we are following. But in the year 1973 and 1977, this convention was not followed because Justice A.N. Ray and M.H. Baig, they were made the Chief Justice of India by superseding the senior most judges. So this is something we call as the part of dark political history of India, right, at the time of Indira Gandhi. But more or less we see that we follow the seniority principle, we follow this convention in case of CJI. Apart from CJI, all other Supreme Court judges, they will be appointed by President, and for that we have collegium system who will be recommending the name of that person. Name will be recommended to the Law Ministry. Then Law Ministry will recommend it to Prime Minister, and the Prime Minister will recommend it to the President, and eventually President will appoint that person as the Supreme Court judge. Now, as far as High Court is concerned, again the similar kind of a stuff, but here the recommendation will be provided by CJI and Governor to the President. And in case of other High Court judges, CJI, Governor, as well as Chief Justice of the concerned High Court. So this is the factual part which you must remember. Okay. Now, when we say that we have brought such a new system, what are the key advantages and disadvantages of having such a system? When we brought collegium system, we say that we are making our judiciary independent from politics. So there is a chance that if the appointment or transfer of judges is made by executive, or if there is a big role of executive or a government in it, then the politics might make this institution very weak. So we are making it independent. Also, the system is very much secret sometimes to just ensure that the functioning is very much proper. Some secrecy is required to be maintained. Then it prevents transfer of judges. Now, just like bureaucrats, if they are having any kind of conflict with a politician or any person in power, usually we get a news that a bureaucrat is transferred from one location to another. But in case of judiciary, we want that such thing should not happen. So when you make the system completely independent, that your appointment and transfer is done by judiciary itself and not the government or the executive, then your transfer will be prevented and you can work without any bias, without any pressure or without any fear. And at last, there will be some expertise in selection. Judiciary knows more about the judges. So there will be expertise when the judiciary will involve in the selection process of new judges. So all these are advantages of collegium system in India. Now if I talk about disadvantages, there are some problems also. First of all, there is no transparency. These these members who are part of collegium, they are deciding everything. There is no transparent mechanism to check, to ensure their accountability. So there is one problem. Second, there is scope for nepotism and favoritism. Nepotism simply like, if I am the part of collegium system, I will recommend the name of a person who is my close relative or a friend. So there will be nepotism and favoritism. Then it is completely undemocratic. When we say we have a democratic system, we usually say it is transparent, it is accountable, and those things are completely lacking in the collegium system in India. Then what about criteria to test the candidates? So we don't see any particular criteria which is mentioned or which is specified, which ensures that merit based selection is done. Then there is additional burden on judiciary. See, already our judiciary is burdened with lot of cases. Right now we have 4 to 5 crore cases pending in entire judiciary, and you have given additional burden to them to make appointments, to make transfers. It's better you give this task to some other organization, just like UPSC does the selection of the bureaucracy in India, the top bureaucracy in India. Similarly, we can do it here. And violation of check and balance. We always talk about check and balance to ensure that no institution becomes very powerful or dominating one. So that check and balance is missing to a good extent because judiciary has become very powerful in this context. Clear? So these are the advantages and disadvantages. Now some kind of a way forward as a solution. So obviously we'll be giving solutions to ensure that those disadvantages are taken out. For example, we talk about the check and balance. So one thing which was recommended by the Law Commission, that you make a body for the appointment or the recommendation which will be having members from both sides, that way, that is from executive side as well as from judiciary side. So if both members are present or the representatives from both sides are present, then there will be some check and balance. Second thing, we can codify entire procedure. So appointment procedure, everything can be codified. Clear cut rules can be provided and we have to follow those rules, or the judiciary will have to follow those rules. As part of the same thing, we can even broaden and clearly tell what will be the eligibility criteria. So a complete criteria should be openly provided, and open call is required for that. Also, in the judiciary, we see lack of diversity. So we can bring in diversity. For example, if you look at the women members who are part of the judiciary, they are very less in number. So we can enhance that diversity. And at last, eventually our focus should be on bringing more transparency in the system, because when there is transparency, there will be less scope for corruption, for nepotism, for favoritism. So all these things can be provided as solution to the problems we are facing when collegium system is working. Clear? Now let me check if we have any comments or any queries. Okay, so can you please repeat the second judge's case? Okay, I'll just tell you in brief. So in the second judge's case, Supreme Court said that the term consultation means concurrence. So if you go back to this article 124 clause 2, what it says, whenever you are appointing any judge of Supreme Court, what president will do? President will consult with Chief Justice of India and other judges deemed necessary. And here there is this term called consultation. Now the question is, when you are means president is consulting CGI, does that mean whatever advice is given by CGI to the president, that is binding on president? This is the question that was being dealt in this second judge's case, and court said that whatever advice is given by CGI or the collegium, that advice is binding on the president. Why? Because the term consultation means concurrence. That means it is completely the recommendation, that is the final recommendation. Okay. So this was the second judge's case, and there Supreme Court said it will not be only CGI but CGI plus two senior most judges who are going to give this recommendation to president. So we say in second judge's case, the idea of collegium system got completely established. I hope it is clear. Okay. Now let's move ahead with our second article for the day. So the second article is related to caste-based census in India. So right now we are talking about caste-based census that took place in the state of Bihar in the year 2023. First of all, we should know what is census, then caste census, and whatever happened in Bihar, is it a caste census or something else? That we should have clarity on. And this is important for your mains GS paper 2 as part of important aspects of governance and all. Also, it is important for GS paper 1 Indian society part. Okay. Now look at this previous year question. Has caste lost its relevance in understanding the multicultural Indian society? Elaborate your answer with illustrations. I want all of you to just think about this question just for a few seconds. Yes. Now if you can think the idea of caste. Now caste is there in India since ancient times, we can say. But it is relevant in present context also. And one of the answer, when you are writing the answer for such a broad question, you have to mention about the caste-based census, which is being demanded in many states of India. For example, Bihar, Jharkhand, etc. So you can understand that caste, importance of caste in the politics, in the governance, can also be shown in such broad questions while writing the answer. Okay. Now, what is the context? So in the year 2023, the government of Bihar carried out caste-based census. I should not use the word census, rather what they did, we can call it caste survey. I'll tell you the difference between what is caste-based census and caste survey. So this was conducted. So the article in the Hindu, it clearly says that whatever government of Bihar did, that has provided them with some precise data which is helping in the governance part. So whether it is the classification of SC, ST, OBC or any other information, that is very important for the policy making purpose. So there is a demand. It's a long pending demand. Many times many opposition parties continuously say or give a call for bringing caste census in India. First of all, what do we mean by census? So in India, or if you go to any other country, if you want to study the population of that country, firstly you have to carry out a census. So census is nothing but a record, a document in which the data related to population is mentioned. For example, people will come to you and they will ask you how many people live at your home, what is their age. Every such information can be taken up in a document. Now when government gets such a data, now they can take decisions in the right manner. When they know that in a particular locality these many people are living, they need a road, there can be a traffic management issue, we require some kind of policies with respect to health. So all these decisions can be taken in the right way if we have the data. So census will provide you with all these records and data. So it's a comprehensive document providing the information related to population of our country. So this census is conducted by Ministry of Home Affairs in India. So Ministry of Home Affairs, under this ministry we have Office of the Registrar General and Census Commissioner of India. They are responsible completely to conduct this census. Okay. Now this census is conducted every 10 years in India. Now you see this periodic census is going on since many years, since the British era. So it was in the year 1872 when for the first time we saw such a census being conducted in India. After 1872, it was 1881 when we started doing this thing on a periodic basis, that is after 10 years every time. So after 1881, in the year 1891, then in the year 1901, then 1911, this is how we started doing it periodically after every 10 years. So the last one which we see is 2001 and then 2011 census, right? The next was supposed to be 2021 census, but that census did not take place. Why? Because India or the entire world was suffering from COVID-19 pandemic at that time. So Government of India said that it will not be feasible or it will not be practical to go ahead with the mechanism or the process of carrying out census. So they stopped the process, they postponed it, and they have postponed without telling us any date. So the phenomena is still continuing and we are still waiting for the census to be conducted. Okay, so who is responsible? Ministry of Home Affairs is responsible. Now one thing is very important. If you look at the constitution and if you go to the 7th schedule of the constitution, census is mentioned under union list entry number 69. So when it is mentioned in union list, that means it is the Parliament of India who can make any law with respect to census. It is the central government who is responsible for taking actions. So Parliament brought a law. The law is Census Act 1948. And under this act we are seeing that we are carrying out census. So it is being done with a legal backing and the backing is there for central government. So this is census. Now we are talking about caste census. Now caste census is a census where the data related to caste is also added into it. So if you look at the census that has been conducted since years, or let's say if we go back to since the time of independence, we have carried out census data where we have also added caste related data in it. So in 1951 to 2011, what we did whenever we took this census data, in that data we have added the caste related data but only related to SC and ST community. Right? We had also provided reservation to SC and ST community after the independence in Parliament and State Assembly. So we are enumerating SC and ST community related caste related data in the census. Now if you see the 2011 socio-economic caste census data, in that data related to SC community is there, ST community is there, and also OBC community data is also there. But there is one interesting thing. Government added that data in the census, but they did not publish that data. They did not publish data related to OBC community. They only published data related to SC and ST community. So this is where somewhere we see politics entering into our governance. So due to some political issues and some controversies, some debates, government decided we are not going to publish data related to OBCs. So overall we can say when we use the term caste census, it will provide us with caste related information in the census itself. Okay, and there is a demand. There is a demand from OBC community as well as many state governments that you should conduct a comprehensive caste census. Okay, now the third thing is caste survey. Caste survey is something very interesting. So we said Bihar government has done some caste census, Jharkhand government has carried out some census. They did not carry out any caste census because you see, carrying out census is under the jurisdiction or authority of central government because we said it is there in the union list. It is not there in the state list. That means state government doesn't have power to carry out census. So what state government does, just to build pressure on the central government as well as with an intent to get some data, they are doing survey. Now survey is different from the census. What is a survey? Survey is just like opinion. Someone comes to you and asks your opinion. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? So when you ask such questions and take the data related to their answers, that can be called as a survey. It is not census. And most important thing is this survey is not having any legal backing. For census, we have legal backing. We have the Census Act passed by our parliament. But for surveys, there is no such act. They lack the legal backing. Clear? So all this has led us to this issue of caste-based census. So right now there is a demand. Whatever Bihar has done or Jharkhand has done, there is a demand that we should bring caste census in the India, in the entire India. And that's why state governments are trying to talk to central government. They are building some pressure also. Clear? Now the time for next article. Before that, let me check if we have any doubts, any comments. No doubts? Okay. So now the next topic is related to national anthem. So there is a controversy related to national anthem in the state of Tamil Nadu. Now we need to know about national anthem, and there is something written about national anthem in the fundamental duties also. We should know that. It's important for prelims as well as in mains. You should have a brief idea about the constitution, and national anthem is important part. Now look at this previous year question. I want all of you to please read this PYQ. Okay, please read. Done? Now, if you read the question, you will get an idea that there is a question related to national flag. There's a line related Pengali Venkaya designed the tricolor Indian national flag. Now, if there can be a question related to national flag, you can expect there can be a question on national anthem too. And yes, they talked about Rabindranath Tagore, that he translated it from Bengali to English. Now, what is the context? Why it is in news? So recently, the governor of Tamil Nadu, the governor of Tamil Nadu, he claimed that the assembly, state assembly of Tamil Nadu has disrespected Indian constitution and Indian national anthem. Why? Because when the state assembly's session was going on, where governor has to address the state assembly, in that national anthem was not played. Now, usually if you look at the president of India, when the session is there in the parliament wherein president addresses parliament, there we see national anthem is played. But here it did not happen. This is what the governor of Tamil Nadu is saying. Now let's look at some basics. National anthem. We all know about national anthem. You must have read this. Jana Gana Mana. So this is national anthem written by Rabindranath Tagore. Now originally if you see, it was first performed by Rabindranath Tagore in December 27, 1911, when the session of Indian National Congress was taking place in Calcutta. After that, we see in the year 1941, Subhash Chandra Bose introduced a modified version of the same national anthem, and it is somewhat like this: Shubh Sukha Chain. Right now, when you look at the original format or the original song written by Rabindranath Tagore, it was actually written in Bengali. So we read it like Bharato Bhagya Vidhata. But later on it was revised and translated to make it Jana Gana Mana or whatever you read it. I hope all of you remember this. I don't need to tell that part. But this is how it got translated. And we adopted, we, when we say we are talking about the Constituent Assembly. So India's Constituent Assembly on the date January 24, 1950. On this date, we adopted this particular song as India's national anthem. At that time, the President of Constituent Assembly was Dr. Rajendra Prasad. So this is the factual information which you should know. Now look at some constitutional or legal safeguards related to national anthem. For example, if I talk about Article 51 Clause A. Now this is your fundamental duty. So many fundamental duties are mentioned in it. So if you read that, you will see that there is one duty which clearly mentions that every Indian citizen is responsible for upholding values and institutions of the Constitution, along with showing respect to the national flag and national anthem. So clearly our fundamental duty says that you have to respect national anthem. Now what if you disrespect? You don't respect national anthem. Is there any penalizing provision? So yes, we have a law, Prevention of Insults to National Honor Act 1971. Now in case you are disrespecting national anthem, under this law, you can be provided with imprisonment of up to 3 years, or you can be provided with any fine, and both of them. That is possible. Also, apart from this, we have a specific code of conduct. What we should do, what we should not do with respect to national anthem, that is mentioned in the code of conduct. So this is national anthem code of conduct. Okay. So here we know that whenever national anthem is being played, we are expected that we have to stand in attention position. So this is mentioned in the code of conduct. Now there are some cases with respect to the respect that it should be shown towards national anthem, the honor of national anthem. One of the cases, Biju Emmanuel versus State of Kerala of 1986. Now at that time, it was being questioned whether it is mandatory for a person to sing national anthem. If there is a person who is just standing, respectfully standing in the attention position when the national anthem is being sung, but he is not singing. So is it mandatory that he'll have to sing also? That was being questioned. So at that time, Supreme Court said that singing the national anthem, mandatorily singing, that can violate a person's fundamental right. Especially here, they were talking about Article 25, that is the freedom to practice one's own religion. So let's say by singing whatever is mentioned in the national anthem, if someone's freedom of religion is getting violated, then in that case Supreme Court is saying you cannot make it mandatory on that person. Also we have second case, that is Sham Narayan Chokshi versus Union of India 2018. Now initially we saw that in Indian cinema halls, theatres, this national anthem was being played and it was being made very much mandatory. But in the year 2018, the court judgment clearly said that playing national anthem in cinemas is not mandatory. Now it is completely up to the cinemas to decide whether they want to go ahead with it or not. Okay, so you can understand what is judiciary's view. Now look at the recent issue related to the Tamil Nadu State Assembly, where what we saw that the governor is saying that national anthem is disrespected. Now what happened is there is a customary tradition in Tamil Nadu state that in their state assembly they usually play the state anthem, that is Tamil Thai Vastu, at the start of the session. So when governor addresses the state assembly in the initial time, or when the program starts, at that time this Tamil anthem is sung, and when the session ends, at that time the conclusion is done by national anthem. This is the custom or tradition, and this time because it was not done, that is something being questioned by the governor, that why you did not play the national anthem. Now if we look at the practice of other states, if you look at all the states of India, is it the same practice that goes on just like Tamil Nadu? The answer is no. Every state follows its own convention. Every state decides on its own. So there are some states who will go ahead with national anthem. There are some states who never had taken national anthem as part of their state assembly, any kind of address, governor address or anything. So let's talk about Nagaland. So in the year 2021, for the first time we saw in Nagaland State Assembly, national anthem was played. Till 2021, it never happened. Similar is the case with respect to Tripura Assembly also. So in the 2018, that was the first time we saw national anthem being sung in State Assembly. So every state has its own mechanism. Now if you look at Parliament of India, when President of India gives address to the Parliament, there we said national anthem is played. So this is a practice. Now what about mass singing of national anthem? We usually see mass singing, so many people standing and they are singing national anthem. When does this happen? When national flag is being unfurled, let's say on 26th January or 15th August, or there is any cultural occasion, there is some kind of a ceremony, at that time also this happens. Then arrival or departure of president, at that time also we say that we'll go ahead with mass singing of national anthem. Okay, now can punishments be imposed if anthem is not played at official functions? Now this could be a question for you, because this happened in Tamil Nadu State Assembly. So will there be any punishment? Well, the answer is no, because there is no particular punishment that is given. So if you look at the court's clarification on this particular matter, court clearly says that singing national anthem is not at all mandatory. It is not mandatory, it is very much voluntary in nature. So even if this thing has happened in Tamil Nadu, there won't be any penalty on people. Okay, now the fourth or the last article of the day, that is related to Indus Script. I'll take a short break of just few seconds before I start. Let me check if we have any comments also. So I don't see any comments. Okay, let's move ahead with our last topic of the day. Now this is related to the Harappa or Indus Valley Civilization. So if you have read in ancient Indian history, Indus Valley Civilization is very important. You have very extensive chapter mentioned in NCRT as well as many other textbooks. And we say that the script that was being used at that time, that is the Harappan writing, we are still not in a position to know what did they write exactly, because we don't understand that script. Many scholars have tried to study this, but they are not in a position to understand what this script exactly is all about. Okay, so this is what we are going to discuss today. So Indus Valley Civilization, one of the most important topics for your prelims as well as mains. I would say for prelims it is more important. Okay, now look at this previous year question. The ancient civilization in Indian subcontinent differed from those of Egypt, Mesopotamia and Greece in that its culture and traditions have been preserved without breakdown to the present day. Comment. So if you see, when Indus Valley civilization was there in the parts of India and Pakistan, at that time there were other civilizations also in the world. For example, this Mesopotamia, Greece, Egypt. But the culture, the civilization got completely vanished from the earth when it comes to these civilizations. But with respect to India, the culture has continued. We still have some practices which are same as that of Indus Valley civilization. So this question is talking about that broader idea and talking about the difference also. Okay, so such questions can be expected in the paper. Now, why are we discussing it right now? Because recently, Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin, he gave a challenge. He said that I'm challenging all these scholars in India. Anyone can come and tell us or decipher what is mentioned in this Indus Valley script. So if you can decipher, we are going to provide those archaeologists or those scholars with some good incentive or some big prize in million US dollars. So this kind of a challenge is given by this Tamil Nadu Chief Minister. Now, although this challenge and all is not that important for examination, but we want to know what is so special about this script. First, let's talk about some basic part. Indus Valley Civilization. So if you go back to history, the time period somewhere around 3300 to 1300 BCE. This is the time period we are talking about. At that time, there were civilizations around the world. So it's not like only we had one civilization. But there is one special thing that makes Indus Valley civilization different from any other civilization. And that is, this civilization was urban civilization. So we say in the history, this is the first urban civilization that we have observed. We also call it as Harappan civilization because that was the first city that was explored by our archaeologists. So we named it as Harappan civilization. But there are many other cities part of it. Now, a brief idea about mapping of this Indus Valley civilization you should have. Although the detailed map will be there in your ancient history textbooks. But a brief idea should be there about the extent of Indus Valley civilization. So the northernmost part of this Indus Valley civilization is there in Jammu and Kashmir. The region is Manda. If you look at the southern extent, it is in Maharashtra, that is Daimabad. If you look at the eastern extent, that is in Uttar Pradesh, Alamgirpur. And if you look at the western extent, it is in the Pakistan's Sutka Jandar. So overall we say that a major part of India and major part of Pakistan was part of Indus Valley civilization. Okay, now what are the features of this civilization? Why we are saying it was the urban one? What is so special about it? So first one is the urban planning. See, you see the difference between the rural parts and the urban parts. Usually we say that urban area has a good planning. So for example, in Indus Valley or Harappan civilization, we see grid pattern. So this kind of pattern is there. So you see roads are made in such a way, in a proper planned manner. So the cities are completely planned. The drainage system is there, which is very much systematically maintained at that time. Right now we have technology, everything, still we are not in a position to have a good drainage system, but they were having such an advanced kind of a system. When they were making the buildings, they were using standardized bricks, bricks of the correct size, uniform size, they were baked bricks. So this is something very special which is not observed in other civilizations. Then there was a central storage facility for granaries, for all the crops and all, for example, wheat, barley, cotton, everything was being stored there. And they had some seals and script. Now, this is the area where we are focusing. That the script they had, we are not in a position to decipher till now. Now, the question is, why are we not in a position to decipher Harappan script? What is so special about it that we are not in a position to do it? First answer is, there is no inscription in the world or related to Indus Valley Civilization where multiple languages are written. So for example, what happens, usually we see inscriptions where something is written in first language, then something is written in language number 2, then written in language 3. Even if you see the Ashokan inscriptions, they are also written in multiple languages. So for scholars, even if they don't know one particular script, they will try to study second and third language through which they'll try to understand this first script. But Indus Valley scripts are mentioned only in one language. Neither we know that language nor we know that script. So it is highly difficult. So we don't know that language also. That is also concerning. Let's say if we had known the language, we could have still tried to understand that script. But we don't know. Then the evidences that we get, they are also very much limited. Till now we have just 3,500 seals on which there is some kind of an inscription. So we have very limited data to study and come up with understanding of these scripts. And the last is, we have a very sparse knowledge, because if you compare it with Mesopotamia or if you compare with Egypt, we know very less about Indus Valley Civilization. We are still studying, archaeologists are still studying about Indus Valley Civilization. We still lack the knowledge. So we can say that the process will still continue. We'll still try to know, decipher Indus Valley script. Okay. So this is all about this particular article. Now the time is for our practice questions. First, the mains practice question. Examine the merits and demerits of the Collegium system for judicial appointments in India in the context of recent reform initiatives. So in the context of reform initiatives they have asked. So in the answers you have to mention about the recent reforms also. But when you start the answer in the introduction, please mention about Collegium system. You can define Collegium system, you can talk about its evolution, or you can give the recent example why it is in news and all. Then in the body part, they have asked about merits and demerits. You also mentioned merits and demerits specifically. So we discussed advantages, disadvantages. Same thing has to be written over here. So judicial independence, expertise, political interference, all that will be here. And because we said recent reforms are important, so you have to mention about that recent reforms too. And in conclusion, you can say that judicial independence is important. That's why we are supporting collegium system. But judicial accountability is also very important. So both things are needed. So there is a balanced approach that we need to follow with respect to collegium system. Okay. Now, some practice questions of yesterday's articles. Okay. So we're going to give the answers for this. So very interesting question. I want all of you to please read this. Those who have attended yesterday's lecture, I hope you have read. Please read. I'll tell you the answer. Done? So see, this question is made exactly in a manner in which UPSC asks questions. So many a times UPSC will describe you a particular scenario and ask you to tell which of this option is correctly reflecting in this particular question or this description. So if you read this, the answer simply is Great Nicobar Island. So this is the article we discussed yesterday. Okay. So this description, so nothing new is there. It's just the same fact, same information, but written in a different form. Now next article related to Toda tribe. Toda tribe is primarily found in the Nilgiri hills of Tamil Nadu. That is absolutely correct. Toda tribe is classified as particularly vulnerable tribal group, that is PVTG in India. That is also absolutely correct. So answer is both 1 and 2 C. Then which of the following is a key feature of Regional Rapid Transit System, that is RRTS? Now it's an easy question. Even if I go with the reverse order, it primarily connects rural areas to urban centers. No. It draws inspiration from India's conventional railway. No. Conventional railway and it has no relation. Focuses exclusively on freight movement. No. It is for normal people only. So trains operate at speeds up to 180 kilometers per hour with frequent services every 15 minutes. This is the idea of RRTS. So this was an easy question, I would say. Okay. Now I have some practice questions for all of you. So in the comment box, you will get the link wherein you can directly attempt these questions which are related to today's article. So please attempt them. First question is related to caste census in India. Last nationwide caste census in India was conducted during 1931 census. Socioeconomic caste census 2011 included caste related data but did not release detailed caste data. Constitution mandates the government of India to conduct a caste census every 10 years. Now this is somewhat a moderate question or moderate to difficult question for you. So please attempt. Second, showing respect to the national flag and national anthem is enshrined in fundamental rights, fundamental duties, DPSP or preamble. One of the easiest questions for you. And third, Indus Valley Civilization. Many cities of IVC were laid out in a grid pattern, showcasing advanced urban planning for the time. And second, Indus Script found on seals and other artifacts has been fully deciphered, providing extensive insights into the civilization's administration and culture. Now, I would say this is one of the easiest questions again for you if you conceptually understand Indus Valley Civilization. Okay, so please attempt all these questions in the comments or the comment. You will get the link in the comment box wherein you can attempt directly on the website of Narayana IAS Academy. And we'll meet in the next session. Thank you so much for joining.